Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host Orinda, and together with my lovely co-host Amanda Hopper, we recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek, starting with Star Trek The Next Generation. All the episodes will recap in chronicle following. We will approach the episode with humor and a feminine look. Today's recap is of the episode Encounter at Farpoint Part 1 and 2. But let me introduce you to my co-host Amanda. Hey Gil, how are you doing?
I am doing really well today.
Good. Are you
Thanks
excited?
for having me.
Are you excited to do this all?
Yes, I am.
Good, me too.
I'm excited. Yeah. Oh.
Well, it's good we started with Star Trek The Next Generation, because the last thing I read about Netflix UK is that they're going to remove 3 of the series, and that was not TNG
Are they
with
really?
it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, in one thing I think the fans will protest again, because when they did it last year, people went stand up and protest about it, and then they put it up on again.
I would too if they did that to here.
Yeah, so we have to wait and see in the last at the end of next month they will be removed. So
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah, and then just 3 series of them, like TOS, Voyager, and Enterprise. So it sucks,
That's
but
crazy
okay.
getting rid of Next Generation.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, we need to wait and see and hope that people here in the UK are standing up also and saying, not on our watch.
I agree. They better not remove it on you guys.
Nope. But okay, let's start with the recap. This is well, not new to me, but it is. I was thinking on what I'm doing with this podcast is just I don't see a lot of girls talking about Star Trek on online in the way of a podcast or whatever. So I was thinking, okay, let's do this. So, your first impression of Encounter at Farpoint?
Yeah. It was a 2-parter episode. Squeezed into one episode, basically. It's like basically they introduce a whole new crew of humans, Klingons, Beta Z, and other cultures, and they have their one android that's working on the ship with them, and the lieutenant commander, and you got Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Commander Riker, Dr. Crusher, who has a son named Wesley, and you got Worf, who's the Klingon, and Tasha Yar, and then you got Geordi LaForge, who is the blind engineer. And basically, they have to go to a station called Farpoint Station, which was created by the Bandy. And of course, who they meet along the way? Their very first alien, known as the Q entity.
Yeah, Q.
He causes all this chaos and mischief for them, which we know in future episodes he's going to be a pain in Picard's backside.
Yeah, and not only that, my first impression of Q is that he thinks he is all the highest being of alien in the whole galaxy. So
yeah, he thinks he's Mr. High and Mighty of everyone. Basically.
Yeah.
He thinks he's like a god amongst people.
Yeah, you can say about that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he is one of my least favorite characters in Star Trek, but okay. But it is still, I do think Q will be having a lot of interference with, like, Picard the most, and of course Janeway and Cisco DS9, of course.
Yeah, I remember that part. But right with Picard though, in Counter there, he just puts him on trial in part of the episode. He puts Picard and Data. I think Yar went with him, and Deanna Troy went with him. They were put on trial for crimes against humanity.
What is a little bit weird, of course, because we as humans don't know that. It's like an Anti-Galactica trial, and with Q only as judge, jury, and prosecutors. Yeah. So, what I find of Picard, how he handled that, it's very new, but also you could see all his emotions towards Q was very clear. Like the frustration, the anger, but also the helpless, but also the diplomat. That's the very start of being Picard as a diplomat.
Yeah, like he was. Like I agree. He was basically. I think he was also a bit scared too at one point, and he was also
because it is new, of course. Everything is new, but there was some little thing I like to say about this, because Star Trek: The Next Generation was my first ever Star Trek, and so I have been grown up with. I've been grown up with, and this, especially this episode, that's the first ever episode I watched as a Star Trek. Well, I wasn't a fan like that, but the first time I saw this episode, there was one scene I stayed hooked with, and that was the part that the saucer section separated from the battle bridge. So that was the moment I was thinking, wow, I'm gonna like this, I'm going to follow this. And later on, in about season 3 or something, I really became a Star Trek fan. But this episode was the first encounter for me with Star Trek, but also I stayed hooked with it. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to give this a chance. And
I was going to say, I don't recall which episode it was I started with, because it was my uncle that introduced me to Star Trek, and that's when, after seeing a few episodes, I'm like, oh, I love this. And I just continued watching, and now I have it on Blu-ray. All 7 seasons.
So that was my start with Star Trek. What also is, you could see that Data was just really programmed as Data, an android, and later on in the seasons you see him more developed, more and that was
progressing.
And I think that's when you could definitely see that this was a pilot episode. And you could see also they're still looking for example, what kind of the department's color they are, because we see, for example, Worf in red, and he was on the com, and we know Worf, of course, more as in tactical, and occasionally he will work. He would work in engineering, helping Geordi.
Yeah.
So, one thing come in mind also. This is one times I really do like the hair of Troy. They experiment so much with her hair and clothing that is, that was a disaster for her. And also, this dress she wore, it was so short.
I know. I think they called them scants.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they went like above the knee, and all I could think is, holy moly, that's short.
Yeah, but this is
And
definitely short.
yeah, I think she had some shorts on underneath too, I think.
I was thinking, you won't see that anymore in, uh, yeah, the rest of the season and all seasons that she's
No.
wearing that short. And come in mind too, and I saw that later on in the same episode, I believe. Chacha Yar wore first the trouser uniform, and
Oh,
then
the pants. Yeah.
she wore the skirt, and I was thinking, I like her more on the trouser version of it, you know. And
Yeah,
why would they change that in one season?
I don't know. So bizarre. They just couldn't. I don't know if they couldn't make up their mind or what.
Well, that's why I said you can see this as a pilot, because they are still looking for the things
Hmm.
that they normally do, and yeah, it's just looking for the right things.
Hmm. Yeah, because in future episodes, Deanna, she had some really nice outfits that she wore.
Yeah, and some
Like
also
some
not,
really nice.
but I remember a interview with her, and she was very complaining about the hairstyle and the changing of the clothes every time.
Yeah, because the one there were skin tight, that would be like really uncomfortable. The one piece suit there, the really tight one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be like a really uncomfortable one for her, I'm betting.
Yeah, but that's what also the same with 709.
Yeah, she had to
She
wear a corset.
she hated the catsuit, and she
Mm.
burned them all. But that is for
Yeah.
another episode to talk about. Talking about hair, we see now that Picard has still a little bit of hair,
Yeah, a little bit. Horseshoe hair.
and that's kind of,
That's what,
yeah, it's
that's what I
kind of.
call it. Because it goes around his head like a horseshoe.
But okay, we have to do with it. And I remember that Gene Roddenberry didn't pick him, Picard, of Patrick Stewart, as first captain of the. There was someone else who uh, did audition for it, and
Oh, forget who
then
that was.
he had to come back for Gene Roddenberry, and first he had to where to pay or a wig for see an audition with hair, and then they did one without hair, and Gene Roddenberry said, okay, it's done, okay, we have a bold captain.
Okay.
So that was in one way very funny of it, and
Hmm.
well, I think it's where he known for. I think it's the also what I really thought about the first meeting between Picard and Riker was very tenseful, and it's still a start of a good friendship. But yeah, what do you think about that? Because
Yeah, because I think Riker, was he like a little hesitant at first to meet the captain? Like he was
I
nervous or something?
don't think he was nervous, but I do think he was eager to
Please him.
uh,
To please
to
the captain.
well,
Like
not please
in
the
his
captain, but
duties.
more in the way of prove himself that he was
Yes, that's
worthy.
it. Yeah, he's more eager to prove himself to his captain. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and I think that was the tone that was set for the friendship and the captain and first officer
Yeah.
connection. What I also do think was that the meeting between Dr. Crusher and Picard.
Ooh, it was tense because Picard used to be Dr. Crusher's boss of her husband, and her husband got killed underneath the mission that Picard was doing.
Yeah, and they were very much friends in that way because
Yeah.
and well, there was thing what I always loved about is there was that when they talked in sick bay and that Picard was welcoming her personally. I think there was tension, but there was also a little fling. I don't want to say flirtation, but more like, okay, there will be some romance between those two.
Mm. And she said she wanted the posting on his ship too. She said.
Yeah, and that was when I saw that one the second time. I was thinking, yeah, okay. So she wanted that because it's of course one of the at that time that it was one of the newest ships around, and it's also like I don't know. It's just that's what I really like about from season 3. They there was an interview with Gene Roddenberry and Picard that they say, okay, Patrick Stewart was not happy with how the storyline went, etc., etc. And from season 3, they gonna do backstories from for the characters, etc., etc. And since then, and I must say, since then, it becomes better and better. So,
okay. Yeah, they showed some backstories of some of the people.
And coming back on Dr. Crusher. So I'm reading my notes meanwhile also. Dr. Crusher, when she was on Farpoint Station, she bought something, but
yes, some fabric.
Yeah, and it was like she would pay for it, but how is she gonna pay for it? Because there was no money.
Yeah, how would she pay for that? Would it be credit?
I have
or like
no
an IOU later type deal?
I don't know. Maybe she's gonna. Yeah, it's weird because when they are on Farpoint Station, the station provide them what they needed and what they thought about. Cause that fabric, in the first place, it was just red and not with the golden.
I thought it was purple.
Never mind. But the gold thingy wasn't on there.
Yeah.
And then it was. So I question myself how she's gonna pay. Is she going to maybe
push for money?
I don't know. But Grappler was mentioned the Ferengi, but maybe she is going to pay for it in like her services as a doctor.
She could have done that. Trade her services as a doctor.
Yeah, but that's what one thing I was thinking. Okay, they need to think about a little bit more about that of doing this whole thing. Maybe it was just that they went fast in because it is 1.5 hour episode. So as we're going a little bit back, when Riker came on the Enterprise, Picard was testing him, and he had to do a manual docking procedure with the saucer section and the battle bridge.
Yes, and it was it was going a bit fast too. Like at the same time, he was so nervous about doing it.
I don't think it was nervous. I was think he was like
anxiety?
I said, eager to prove himself.
Yeah, that's
because
it. Eager to prove.
He has a lot of experience.
Yeah. And then he saw Deanna when he was on the ship there. He met up with Deanna.
Yeah.
And you can tell there was something between the two, the way they spoke to each other. She called him, what's it? Imasa or Amisa? Imzadi, yeah. My Imzadi. It's like they had a fling with each other already before.
Well, the funny part is, and we know that of course because we are Trekkies, we know that Riker is a ladies' man, but Diana tamed him, and that is very funny.
Yeah, but she does change him.
In a way, yeah, but I also think Looks on that Troy has a little bit her hand in it. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Also, what I noticed also is that Data's makeup is very shiny.
I know. It's like gold shiny.
Yeah,
It's
and
like they put glitter in it or something.
it is. I know it is because there was a little interview with Marina Sirtis, and she interviewed um, Brent Spiner about it, and so he told him, yeah, in the first few episodes, you could see that we tested the makeup out because we wanted to see how it was on the screen, and the first time they put it on, it was too glittery and too shiny.
I also remember seeing something about his contact lenses.
Yeah,
One of them being like an orangey color and the other one being yellowy.
yeah.
I am glad they went with yellow.
And the weird part is that every time they talk of, I see those yellow eyes of him, it reminds me of Spot.
Yes, cat. Spot the cat.
So, yeah, maybe they did a bit on purpose or whatever, but okay.
I never really thought of that. Spot the cat.
Well, when we go a little further into the episode, Geordi had to report to sickbay to Dr. Crusher, and
Yeah, his implant.
they talk about his implants, and there were two options for him, like an operations and
Painkiller.
yeah, painkillers, and he didn't want either of it. The nice thing of it, I remember a episode later on, is that, and that was the episode, that was the episode with that he is gonna find his mom, and with that interface thingy, and that he didn't have to wear his visor to see.
His visor. And he goes down onto the ship looking for people, and he also wants to look for his mother too, I guess.
I really like that episode. I do think, and coming back on Geordi LaForge, his visor has already been invented here in the real world, in the real time, and there are people who are blind, but with that visor they can see more things, like can
Spectrum,
yeah,
and colors and stuff like that.
But I do think, and they always, and that's the fans always compare Geordi LaForge with Harry Kim from the Voyager. They both are very hopeless romanticas, but never get the love they deserve.
Yeah, because I think Geordi, I can't remember her name, Leah Brahms in one of the episodes. He had a crush on that girl like crazy, and he made like a holographic version of her, and she wasn't impressed when she found out.
No, but what I mean also is that it's some kind of a type that has to be there. But I do love his technobabble. Almost every episode he came with, and I was thinking, wow, he has even more technobabble than Data.
Well, yeah, and those two are usually always hanging around with each other too.
Oh, I love their friendship. Do you remember that episode that Data grow a beard?
Oh God, that one, yes, I strike it. And Deanna and Geordi just could not stop laughing.
Yeah, because he took Riker as an example to grow a beard. That was so funny.
He's like, oh, stroke it thusly. They're like, okay, that's weird. Still funny, because Geordi's like, no, don't leave me, Deanna.
Do you notice also, I said in the beginning of this episode of recording, that Data was very programmed as the android, but he was also like a curious child.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an android in an adult body, but with the mind of like a kid, like very curious and whatnot.
And what you see also, like, um, for example, that was on when Riker was looking for him on the holodeck, and
Yeah,
he was whistling, and he had a talk with Riker, and Riker was a little stirred about, okay, he's superior about us, but why does he has a lower rank, and etc.
mm,
etc. I find that was a very nice conversation about the difference between the android and
human.
human.
And yeah, like Riker was shocked by Data when he met him in the forest there, doing that. I forget how the two went. I think it was like, and Riker had to finish it for him.
I think that's a really good point of seeing him like, okay, he is still really programmed as a android, and later on you see he has developed and more progressing in being, and
Mm.
that's the beautiful thing I thought. What he said was, yes, I am superior than mankind, but I would rather all give it up to be human.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
superior
that
in
one.
every way. I would love to give it up to be human or something like that. He said.
What I also notice is that the faces in the first few, well, let's say, the first season were very small. It were not the big faces that we know. And in one way, I thought, well, that is a little bit too small to be a facer, you know?
Yeah, some of the like in future episodes, the phasers get a bit faster and quicker. When you first see the little laser come out, you're like, that's a little slow. Then future episodes, they seem to get a bit faster and coming out of the phaser there.
Yeah, I was also thinking they rather had doing that the first time right, because it didn't make any sense to have a small phaser like that.
So, like in first few episodes or so, the phasers were like kind of small, like a mouse size small.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then they got a little bigger with a bigger handle on it, which would be more easier to hold on to. And then they also, I think in the movie, they had a phaser rifle.
Yeah, but that I think that is only when real threats is there, because I see that in a lot of other, in a lot of the other movies, but also when, for example, I can't. I think it was First Contact. Yeah, First Contact.
Yes, first contact.
When the Borg beamed down to the Enterprise and assimilated it, they had to use the
Mm.
phasers to the big phaser rifles to fight them.
Disrupt the Borg, which wasn't easy to do because the Borg had like armor type thing. They only had one shot to get them, basically.
Well, there's one guest appearance I really loved, and that was of the Admiral, played by the Force
Admiral
Kelly.
McCoy,
Yeah,
Admiral McCoy, who and Data was escorting him around.
yeah. And what I really loved about it was that he still was afraid of. Well, that was typical McCoy, talking about the
Mm.
transporter like that, and he still did that in an old age. So I really like that in a way.
And he said, "Well, at least you're not a green-blooded Vulcan."
Yep,
Type of attitude towards Data.
we know all who that is.
DeForest Kelly played Bones.
Yeah. I know, and that's why it's very nice to see them also back in older version of Star Trek series
Mm.
or movies. They're going to beam down to Farpoint Station now, and
Yeah,
they're going to investigate it.
yeah. See,
And
yeah, they're going to investigate the planet to see what keeps it running so well, like how they're able to sustain it and how it was made. Apparently, Farpoint, they say it was constructed using geothermal energy or something like that.
mm-hmm.
And the group that they claim they constructed was the Bandy, but
So
turns out it really wasn't the Bandy. It was a squid-like creature.
Yeah.
Which was so interesting.
In a way, but it also reminds me of that creature from out in Voyager when they thought that Voyager was their mom. Oh, what it called? I can't remember it. We also played in Stowe. But it was like yeah. And this
It's like a squid.
Mm-hmm. Or like an octopus.
Yeah.
Something like it. But okay, when Diana and Riker, Data, and LaForge were investigating in those tunnels, she was the one She was the one who sensed the creature, but they didn't know at the time that it was a creature. They thought it was just a tunnel or where the source was.
Yeah, they didn't realize it was the creature. She's like, somebody's very angry, and she could feel its anger and pain because of what they were doing to it, but she didn't realize that it was a creature. She thought it was somebody in the city, but no, it was the creature she was sensing.
And later on, when Riker gave them the order to beam up, you could see that there was still unfinished business between them.
Yeah, she's like, no, Mazdi? I can't say it right.
Imzadi.
But she said no. Yeah, Mazadi. She's like, no, Mazadi. He's like, no, you get back to the ship.
And in one way, and I think in one way that's also set the tone for the romance they have.
Yeah, future romance they have, and
yeah, it is also that Gruppler was very, very bad in the way of treating the creature like that because he knew. And when Riker for the first time met with Gruppler,
yes,
when he left, Gruppler told the creature, you have to do this because we kept you alive, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, so, you do that and basically threaten the creature. He did.
Yeah, but also threatening the Enterprise because later on he said, well, if you don't do this, we will go to the Ferengi.
Yeah, and let them have commerce with them or something like that.
Yeah, and so really was the meeting with Riker and Wesley and Dr. Crusher on Farpoint Station because you could see that Riker was very enthusiastic to, I think, in a way of guiding Wesley. And I think Riker already understood that Wesley was a special kid.
And Riker would take him under his wing in future episodes too and help him out.
Yeah, but basically. Also I think it's like Riker was like a mentor to Wesley.
Yes, that's it, a mentor to him.
And that you can see the difference between Riker and Picard because when Wesley went to the bridge and the whole...
Picard was not happy.
Well, Picard wasn't happy, but also not...
upset.
He knew who Dr. Crusher and Wesley Crusher were. And... But then he made an exception for Wesley to come on the bridge.
Yes, he did.
And Wesley blown everybody's mind up because he knew already so much.
Yeah, that kid was like a literal genius. Like, he knew a lot of things that no other kid should really know.
He is always special in that way, have been in that way. Like, Dr. Stubbs called him a wunderkind. And if I translate it to him, it's a wonder child. So, Wesley can do a lot, and you could see after that, when Picard welcomed Dr. Crusher personally, he apologized as well that
the way he treated her son.
Yeah, and because what Wesley was saying was right. And you could see that also in other episodes. I think it was later on when he not just had his position yet on the bridge, but he was helping out in the engineering, and they told him to go back to school, and he told them, well, I don't think I'm gonna learn any more something on school. And later on he talked with Guinan also about it. I think that was also the moment, but because that was the end of that Dr. Crusher went to Starfleet Academy to become the head of the medical, and Wesley had to come with her, but he didn't want to. So
no,
Guinan make him clear of what do you want, and that's when everybody on the Enterprise is stepping in and help Wesley and educate him and
babysit him. Make sure he didn't get in trouble. Tuck him into bed, as one of them said.
Yeah, Worf. There was Riker who said that, and Worf was taking it up for him. But okay. That would be funny. If you see that...
Get to bed, young man. Yeah, listen to the Klingon. If he tells you to go to bed, you go to bed.
Oh. But that's... And one way very funny. If you see later on Worf on Deep Space Nine, that he is babysitting Miles O'Brien's son.
Yes.
That was one of the... Yeah, I thought it was Kiko O'Brien's father's name or whatever. But okay, this was another episode, but it was very funny how Worf took that oath in a way, because nobody would see him as a babysitter. Everyone sees him like that, this proud,
strong warrior.
Klingon warrior, yeah.
Strong, proud Klingon warrior who upholds his traditions, basically.
Mm-hmm. So, what we also have is, at a point, the other alien appears, and the first time, they thought it was like another spaceship.
Yeah, at first they thought it was the Ferengi.
So, and of course, who is returning to the bridge again? Q. I know a lot of people love him, but I don't want to say I hate him, but he was irritating me always. He was always annoying to me.
Yeah, he was kind of annoying.
But I must confess, there was an episode in Voyager when the Q Continuum kicked him out, and he came. He would become a human, and he's 6th century on Voyager. Voyager. And that was the moment I start beginning liking him, because he had to, and it was also on Enterprise, by the way, because I can remember that they took his powers off, and when he was in engineering, he helped Geordi and Wesley with some configuration or whatever, and he had back pain. So
that one.
Yeah.
Data and Geordi.
And they called for Dr. Crusher, and Dr. Crusher had to massage his back, and she was enjoying him to painfully massage him. She was enjoying that.
Oh yeah, because he was causing him pain.
And
she says, well, you've been a pain in our backside, she says.
Yeah, and also in the word or something like payback time.
Yeah, for all the annoyance that he caused, it was basically payback time that he had a bad back. And she got to go to town on him.
And I also, that was, in the first time I saw that, when Q appears on the Enterprise, he talked like Shakespearean, and then he took the World War II uniform, and he started to talk like that.
Yeah, then he had this weird outfit on. It was like all black with white squares on it, and this thing that sat on the left side of his shoulder. and then he sniffed this little thing and acted like he was high or something like that. Like he was a wasted character on wearing that outfit. He like snorted this thing up his nose.
Yeah, but it was also that was his vision of how humankind
The
would
future.
be. Yeah, and it was all about drugs and alcohol and that's how he looked like as well. But and we come about a character now that I really liked, and that is about Tasha Yar. Tasha Yar was in the beginning very spicy. She was very rebellion, and you could see that when she was with the others in the courtroom with Q, is that she talked before she allowed to, and also she act before she, and then she thinks.
Thought. Yeah, she basically thought before she acted. Or she acted before she thought, or whatever, I mean. And I think she also, during the court scene, gave a swift kick to the guy or something like that.
That was also...
And he ended up shot by his other buddy. Q said, oh, kill him. So he shot him.
Yeah.
And didn't he also freeze her into a popsicle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he froze her into a popsicle right there in the courtroom for being disobedient.
Yeah, and that is the first time you see Picard acting as a real captain and stand his ground and be diplomat. And later on the series, you also can see how he grew in his role as captain and as diplomat. Well, what I also like to come back on is when Q appears. Well, it was more like a force field.
Oh yeah, force field first. Yeah.
That
the giant grid.
The Enterprise wasn't not that ready yet, but he was willing to test the warp drive, to its limit. Then the point came that Picard asked to Data, "Can we separate the saucer section and battle bridge in warp?" And then you get his little techno bubble of real androidy like. And that is one thing I do like of also the connection between Picard and Data. Picard is also like a mentor father for him.
Yes, I was about to say that. He is like a mentor father figure person to Data, like giving him all these advices and stuff, and advising him basically.
Yeah, but I think that Data has been mentored by Picard, and by his friendship with Wesley and Riker and Geordi, he learned how to be human. Of course, that went totally wrong when he got that emotion chip.
Oh boy.
And of course, his bad twin brother Lore.
Oh, Lore.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a troublemaker. He was.
Yeah, but also, I mean, and that's what I really like about Brent Spiner. He did so much different types of Soon and Data that it was, and I'm sorry guys, but for the ones who doesn't have seen Picard already, when Data died for the second time, I was bloody shocked.
I know. That was like, wow. I was surprised too.
And you know, it's, I don't want to say it's and yeah, I don't know what Kurtzman has in mind with all the rest of it, but okay, that's totally different. Maybe I'm going to talk about it in one of the other episodes of my other podcast, Orinda Talks Fantasy of Hi-Fi. So there's one thing, one line that is very, very known for Q to say to Picard, and that is "Temper, temper, mon capitaine."
Yes, temper, temper, mon capitaine. Yeah,
And
he said that a lot to him.
I think that's what you could see the struggle of Picard with Q, and that's the weird thing. They made Janeway and Cisco stand up to him because I had to laugh when Cisco punched Q.
Punched him.
You
Yeah, it was
can't
like a
have
boxing
punched
match.
me.
It was a boxing match, I think it was, on DS9, and Cisco got the opportunity, just punched him one right in the face. And
Yeah.
And boy, Q was shocked.
Yeah, because he always thought I'm superior and nobody would harm me.
Nobody can touch me.
And also, what I noticed at the end of this episode, Picard is called Riker for the first time #1.
And yeah, he called him #1 at the end of the episode. You never heard it throughout the episode, I don't think, until the end.
Yeah, and from that start, Picard has called Riker always #1.
Yeah.
So, in one way, if you see, and sorry guys, spoiler alert, Picard called his dog #1. So I think there's always a deep love connection, not as in a romantic way, but as a friendship way. And I think that is very beautiful. I think this episode is clearly the start of a deep friendship between Riker and Picard.
Yeah, I loved how he named his dog #1, and his dog was a pit bull. It was a rescue dog, too, if nobody knew that. It was a rescued pit bull. I forget where he said it was from, the Humane Society or something like that, from a rescue group. And yeah, I love that pit bull, and the fact he named it #1.
So, I have been through to all my notes. Do you have something else to say about this episode?
Not that I can think of. I loved the episode.
Yeah, me too. I loved the episode too. Although you could see it was really a pilot shot, and they still were searching for how to go on it. And but okay.
Yeah, like they were basically working the kinks out in the first episode of what they should be wearing, how the makeup should look on Brent Spiner, and stuff like that.
They cast the characters as very well, and like, for example, I don't know if you know this, but Denise Crosby had auditioned for Counselor Troy, and Orinda Sarters had auditioned for Tasha Yar.
Oh,
and they ended up mixing them up, and luckily they did that, because you see what the results it is. And the nice part of that is that I don't know. Well, I have said that before in all my Twitter. I followed the podcast of Gage McFadden, and last time she interviewed Denise Crosby, and Denise Crosby talked about this a lot. So it is very nice to hear from her as well how she got the role and how she prepared for it, and why she went away and came back as Sela, her daughter.
Okay, I forgot about Sela.
And I must say, they, on Star Trek Online, they have written a whole timeline for her. So every time I play that timeline, I want to kill her because Sela is so annoying in that. But she and a lot of other actors of Star Trek had lent their voices for Star Trek Online. So that's also their legacy.
Wasn't there like the alternate universe too, where she was Yar, but a different version of Yar?
I can't remember that.
Because a whole different crew shows up, but they look so much different and more like.
Oh, that was with the episode that with the Enterprise C, and that Castellio came on, and later on Tasha Yar wanted to go back with Castellio because she didn't belong in that time period with the Enterprise.
Yeah, that one. Like there was a double Picard, like basically double everybody.
No, there's one more thing I see. Oops. I forgot that.
Yep.
When we getting to go first, for the first time on the battle bridge, we see O'Brien on the bridge wearing red, and he had no name and he had no rank. He had been called helmsman.
Yeah, that's all they called him was helmsman.
And then, what was a really little weird for me was that he ended up very soon in the transporter room.
Yeah, then he was transporter room engineer. Then I think he ended up working in engineering.
No, yeah, but that was in Deep Space Nine. He was the only damn one who kept Deep Space Nine running. But okay. Doesn't matter. Well, I'm glad that he is on Enterprise as well. That he, well, not in a way that he has been appreciated as a officer, but, well, we know what we have on him. There's one thing we still need to do, and that is we're going to rank this episode. So what is your ranking for this episode, Amanda?
Well, I liked it a lot, and it was like the first episode of Star Trek. I don't know what to rank it. Oh my gosh.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
I rank this episode a 6. It's
slow,
good, but not that good that it will be recognized as Star Trek. Because, for example, there will be more episodes like the backgrounds of the characters, for example, with Worf. I love those. Yes, it is dark, it's on damn Kronos, it's about Klingons. And the whole story, how he had become in why he joined Starfleet. I think those are more better episodes than this one. And yes, this was the first episode, but
yeah, there's some I have to go with you on that. I'm gonna have to say around a 6 too. It was good. It was a good episode, but some parts were a bit, I don't know, slow, but it was still entertaining.
Yeah.
I admit some spots were kind of slow. Sorry, guys, if you don't like my answer about being slow on parts, but I found it it's a bit slow in some areas, but there's some really good areas, like with Data and Riker and Geordi and them. But other than that, it was entertaining. It was a good episode. It's just some areas I found a little slowish. I think you get what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's... I think it was a little slow because they had a lot to tell in one episode.
Yeah, it was like with the commercials it was 2 hours, but without the commercials it was like an hour and a half. And it was just their very first episode, so can't fault them on it, but it was the first episode.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, thank you very much to join me, and this is our first episode of Girls Talking Trek. Yeah. I will see you in about 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah. See you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you for listening, and join us in 2 weeks with a new episode recap. The episode we're going to talk about is The Naked Now. If you like this podcast, you can follow, subscribe, and comment on the Facebook group and the YouTube channel of Girls Talking Trek.